Hello, welcome everyone to the Distraction Reviews here on Fightful.com. It is Tuesday. I'm the point god, Jeremy Lambert. I threw my nickname in there this time. Never do it. Did it today. With me, the chubby chief, Joseph Hulbert. Joseph, how are you today?
This is where I'm supposed to sort of feign excitement and joy, isn't it, Jeremy? This is where I'm supposed to sort of, welcome everyone, like I usually do. Very exciting usually. But I'm going to open up here with just sort of a reality check on where we're at on this show, right? Because I had convinced myself after the last 2 weeks that I enjoyed reviewing films. And I don't know if that's not true, but I can confirm to you now that after doing this, there is a chance that in my mind I never want to review another film again. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to, but that should tell you what this review is going to be like. So if you're here for positivity on a review of Knucklehead, you may want to sort of click off or at least skip through now. I don't know, this could be a tough one.
We have a brand to uphold, and we're a movie review podcast. It just says the Distraction Reviews. You know, technically, I feel like we could review anything.
I mean, we have. Oftentimes, we do review anything. The Scooby-Doo movie led to us doing a Jim Ross bit, and he's not even in the film. He doesn't even get referenced in the film. So,
was that show? The Scooby-Doo movie was the Jim Ross bit?
It was. It was an incredible program.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
We do so many shows, I lose, track of which bits are which show and which bits are, off-air and everything. I do not know anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been there for about 6 months at this point. But Jeremy, do you have notes for this film?
Do I have notes for any film ever, is the question, Joseph. You know the answer to this.
Okay.
I've got the Wikipedia pulled up. There's a long, it's the entire plot on Wikipedia. This is like a Joe Hulbert, Eddie Kingston feature pre-edited, is the plot on Wikipedia here.
Wow. That is long. There's
a
lot of errors in here, I'd imagine. I'm not willing to say this is the worst film we've ever reviewed. Early, but off air, you stopped me and was like, I need to look. You was like, I'm not, calm down, Hulbert, I need to look. I'm joining you in that, but I do want to warn everyone. If you're thinking about watching this, do not watch it. This is going to be very sad and very dark for the next hour, so just seatbelts on and join us.
Now, watch this. Don't actually go back and watch this movie, is what we're saying. We appreciate everybody joining us here on youtube.com/Fightful. Sign up to Fightful Select. Sean's always dropping news. You get a bunch of extra audio podcasts. Steven Jensen reviews all the shows we don't always cover in audio form on the main site, like Impact and ROH and GCW shows and BTE and all that fun stuff. Alex Blowski has Sour Graps. Joseph and I will be making our Fightful Select debut this month. We're reviewing a November 1995 episode of WCW Nitro.
I've never loved our audience more than when those poll results came in. Let me tell you, Jeremy, I've never grinned wider. An hour, 40 minutes of WCW Nitro is what really I started this podcast in hopes of. In my mind, I was like, this is a good opportunity, a good idea. Hopefully wrestling gets cancelled forever and we can watch old Nitro. We almost got the cancellation part, didn't we? We almost got there. But here we are, we still have to talk about wrestling. But if we're going to talk about it, now we get to do the Nitro, the fun, the old stuff. So yes, that is on the Select this month. Very exciting.
Yes, I don't know when that's going to be up on Select. We haven't actually recorded that yet, so can't be up on Select until it actually gets recorded. If you're in the chat, we appreciate you joining us. Leave us a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on air. Subscribe to youtube.com/Fightful. Leave a thumbs up. Tap the bell for notifications. All that stuff really helps us. Really, really helps us. All right, let's get into it. Knucklehead, starring The Big Show. Let me ask you this question, Joseph, because my friend asked me this when I was messaging her plot points of this movie, which was basically The Big Show just shit himself again. And she said, what is the alleged plot of this movie? So I ask you that question. Give me one sentence of the alleged plot of this movie.
Okay. A challenged big man is given the opportunity to save his only home, the only home he's ever known, an orphanage that he burns to the ground, or he burns the kitchen of to the ground, and then he enters a mixed martial arts competition that is definitely not MMA, but is referenced as MMA regularly throughout the film, and he wears underwear, and then he shits again, and then he shaves his head and gets tattoos, and he then
the entire movie. You're just supposed to give.
I'm going, Jeremy. I'll get there. Hang on. And then he gets MMA trunks that aren't really MMA trunks, but he never wears gloves because it isn't an MMA fight. but then he headbutts someone because he isn't an MMA fight. But he's in an MMA fight and he doesn't shit himself again, and then he wins. End the podcast. Thank you, everyone.
You just gave away the whole movie. You're just supposed to do a simple plot point, Joseph, not the whole movie.
Okay, do it again. Ask again, and I'll do that.
What is the alleged plot of this movie?
A giant
One
shits
sentence.
himself.
A giant shits himself?
That's it. The end. That's all we need. That's all we need.
I think my reply was the Big Show is an orphan goof who gets roped into competing into carny MMA fights. That was the plot of this movie.
But you left out the part where he shit himself.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be like, part. I mean, it's a big plot, but it's not.
It's a pretty big part of the film.
It is a pretty big plot in the film.
Yeah. Here's where we are, folks. Oh, let's do it. Jeremy, let's just get into the film. Obviously, I've gone through the whole plot now. Let's try and go step by step.
Why are we going step by step? The Big Show, he's an orphan. He's an orphan. That's the beginning of this movie. Yes. That's the whole movie. He's an orphan. He's a knucklehead. He says that multiple times if you didn't know. That's the name of the movie, and that's his character. He's a knucklehead. Joseph mentioned that he burned down the kitchen. Joseph, you want to tell the people how this man burned?
I've talked enough about shit and all this awful stuff. You do it. You take that one.
Big Show's in the kitchen with his little orphan friend. I forgot his name. Doesn't really matter. You think he's important. His name's Henry?
Yep.
Okay. You think he's an important part of this movie, and he's in like 2 scenes. He's in the kitchen with his friend. They screwed up a play that doesn't matter. Big Show is cooking, and he's farting. He's farting a lot, right? And he goes away because he's got the shits, and he runs into the bathroom. A great joke here of Jan from The Office. I don't know her name in this movie, but Jan from The Office is, waiting to talk to the Big Show. So she's waiting by the bathroom, and you hear all the shit noises and everything. And the nun is in the bathroom. So this is a callback to Ready to Rumble, Joseph. I don't know if you know this. This is a callback to the farting nuns. This is true. This is trivia.
That was good, Jeremy. I didn't even know where you were going with that. I thought I'd forgotten a scene. That film's the bestler, isn't it? That film is the bestler.
So Big Show has to go to the bathroom. When he comes out of the bathroom, look, I'm describing all this because it's very important to the plot. All right, people? When he comes out of the bathroom, the kitchen is on fire. The kid doesn't understand. He's lost in his video games like any kid would be. But the fire got started because the Big Show was cooking and farting in the kitchen. And these are so deadly farts that he burned down the kitchen of this orphanage. And now all the orphans have no homes. Right?
When you put it that way, it sounds darker than it is, I feel. But so I explained this to you off air, Jeremy, but I now am aware that we need games to get through this show. Okay?
Yes.
And just looking at the name I had on my plate here, I decided that a good game to play would be Big Show or Big Shit. I did not realise how sort of poignant that proved to be. I didn't know that would become a central plot of the film.
I messaged you when I was watching this movie, and I was like, I hope you have a game. And then I said Big Show or Big Shit. And then you were like, I don't get it. But you said, I had that written down already. And I know you didn't watch this movie until this morning, so I can confirm you did not retroactively write this. You already had it written down.
It was that or the alternative, Big Tall or Big Small, in which I would select a giant wrestler and a tiny wrestler, and you could pick. However, seeing as I have 8 rounds of this game, I feel it's time for round 1. Now, here's how this works, Jeremy. I name a version of the Big Show, Paul Wyatt, the giant, so to speak, and you tell me Big Show or Big Shit, meaning, was this a shit version of the Big Show? Was it a good version? Good version, of course, being Big Show. So we'll go in order for this one. We will start with the man who plummeted off the roof of Cobo Hall, the giant, who later would have an interesting interaction with the Yeti. The giant, Jeremy. Big Show or Big Shit?
The giant ruled. He was super athletic as well. Didn't he try like a shooting star press one
I don't know
time.
about that. He used to do the drop kick off the top rope,
Yeah.
which was terrifying.
He did that
So,
against
yes.
like Loch Ness, the drop kick off the top rope, and he took the I think it was the same Loch Ness match. He took the Shawn Michaels like over and out corner bump in one of those matches. Big Show could move when he was the Giant. Big Show ruled, or the Giant ruled. So we're going Big Show for the Giant.
That was before The Undertaker told him how to hashtag
Yeah.
work like a giant, which
Yes.
is also known as have shit matches and bore us all to death. But other than that, yeah, he really helped him a lot. Anyway, back to this film. Okay, so
What's next?
we've done the shit and all that. So
There's
meanwhile,
more. There's more shit coming.
There is. We'll get to space the shit out, dude. So meanwhile in Gotham, we're in a gym, and we meet Eddie, right? And Eddie has a new fighter, and then this other guy also has a fighter, and his fighter beats up Eddie's fighter with a clothesline in an MMA fight. He now owes money. Does Eddie? He needs money. You can probably figure out where this is going based on the fact that I've already described the whole plot in the opening minutes of this podcast. But effectively what happens is his dad tells him to go and pray. He's doing that, and the Big Show falls through like a wall.
Yes.
And it's like, Show needs money. He needs money. Let's make this big giant who just shit himself an MMA fighter. That isn't actually MMA. It's just pretend MMA. So,
the mobster guy is, I don't know his name in this movie. He's Eddie he's the coach from Eddie. Did you realize that? Have you
I
not
had no idea what you're talking about.
Have you not seen Eddie
No.
with
What
Whoopi
is Eddie?
Goldberg? Okay.
No.
We should review this film. I don't know if there's a wrestler in it, but maybe there's got to be a cameo from some wrestler in this film.
Why? Why does there have to be? You've now convinced yourself that every film has a cameo from a wrestler. What's happened to you, Jeremy?
Oh, because
It's
just
very
to
unlikely.
make it so we can review it on this show. I mean, I guess we can do it regardless, but
You're suggesting it's likely. You're like, it must be.
Yeah,
Maybe
there
Bret Hart
must be.
shows up or something.
I'm gonna check it out. You've never seen Eddie though, so it's Whoopi Goldberg, and she becomes the head coach of the New York Knicks. She's a random fan. She's a very passionate, diehard New York Knicks fan, and she wins a competition to be the head coach of the Knicks. And it's a great, heartwarming tale. You've never seen this movie.
No. A Whoopi Goldberg vehicle is very scary for me. I'm not... That sounds awful, but I'd rather review it than this, so I wish I'd have watched it now, really. You should have just called the Audible live.
I tried to tell you, could we watch Role Models? Could we review episodes of The Office? Could we review Eddie? And you liked the tweets, and you never responded to them. So I just assumed those were no's. You were just, you gave me the pity of like, I acknowledge your tweet, Jeremy. I see it. Thank you for tagging me. I appreciate it. I'm not going to comment on it.
Well, I just awoke from a nap, and everyone was talking about Raw, and I go to my mentions, and I get this sort of double shot cannon fire of you also informing me this film is shit. It's like, okay, this is going to be a great night for me. I'm now looking forward to a Tuesday in which I have to watch both of these terrible things that everyone's talking about. And by everyone, of course, I mean, everyone's talking about Raw being bad, and your timeline is just an exclusive catch-up on how terrible this film I picked is.
Dude,
So,
I
didn't respond. Fair.
I watched Raw. I watched this film, and then Raw was on like 5 minutes later. This was 5 hours of my Monday night. 5 hours of my Monday night watching this film and then Raw. Thank God I had support through it, but oh my God, this was just a horrible 5 hours.
Can you help me? I did try to do this on Twitter, but can you help explain what it feels like when it's longer than 90 minutes, one of these films? Like, help the people understand.
I legitimately, by the way, I got some good Eddie stuff here. I think we can find a way to work in reviewing this. When I saw that this was an hour and 40 minutes, I wanted to message you and be like, you fucked up. Like, this is 10 minutes too long. Like, it's just too long. Any of these movies that are over an hour and a half, yeah, it feels like a death sentence. And it's only 10 minutes, but it just feels so much worse than that.
It's when you get to like 40 minutes and you're like, oh my, there is an hour left of the film. That's when for some reason that 10 minutes is just horrific. Because when you watch these films, you check the time like once every 2 minutes, right? You do. You legitimately scroll over, check the time every chance you can get. But anyway, Jeremy.
Wait, Let me talk about Eddie. Here's who's in this film, Joseph. John Sally, Rick Fox, Greg Ostertag. They don't play themselves. They play like basketball players who are on the Knicks. Marv Albert, Chris Berman. There's WWE Hall of Famer and former president in this movie, Gary Payton. So that's the WWE tie-in right there. We could maybe sneak that in there. Gary Payton's in this film. Head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, Glenn Doc Rivers, is in this film.
Watching it. Okay, that's cash. This sounds amazing.
Vlade Divac, Nick Van Exel, Dennis Rodman, another wrestling tie-in. We can.
Is this your pick for next week? Are you spoiling your pick for next week?
I have a pick for next week, but do you think we could do Eddie? I don't know why Sean would mind. Just whatever. What's he gonna do? Fire us? He threatens to fire you every week, but you know.
We're already fired, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's your call, man. You're the point guard.
I'll go with the film I had originally picked, but we might circle back to Eddie. All right, what are we doing?
Maybe as like a Christmas special, because our Christmas is in July. So for the actual Christmas, we could like treat something different without doing a Christmas film. That makes sense?
That's fair.
I think I know you're going to answer on this one, based on our prior discussion. But Big Show or Big Shit, and this is my exact framing of this character, The Undertaker bullies me now, Big Show, of like the late 90s. Big Show or Big Shit?
That Big Show sucked. That was big shit. He came into WWF and was just gutted immediately because they was like, you were not working like a giant, and then they took away everything that made him cool.
And it took him legitimately like 15 years to figure out how to work the way he wanted and also have good matches. And he just kept trying. He kept going for it, but God bless him, there he was. Okay.
We got a super chat. We got a super chat from Jobber JJ who says, here to support the real stars and true Quizzlemania co-champions. Movie reviews are literally distraction for me. You're both awesome. 5 stars and heart emoji. Thank you, Jobber JJ.
Thank you very much, but I feel it's time to be honest about something, Jeremy.
Uh-oh.
In that super chat, it was explained that we are co-champions of, now, excuse me if I get this wrong, Quizzlemania, correct?
Yes.
Now feels like as good a time as any to explain that. I have no idea what that is. I'm aware that Sean appears to be part of it in some way.
Quizzlemania,
I have no clue.
It's a quiz show. You guessed that part enough. All right.
Yes.
Wrestle Talk does it. They've had the Good Brothers were on there a couple weeks ago. It's a gigantic quiz show. A bunch of people tune into it. They do like history stuff. They do like drawings and stuff. Like you have to draw like a tag team and your partner guesses it and whatnot. It's a lot of fun, honestly. Like I'm not saying I've watched every single episode, but I've watched Sean and Denise on it a couple of times, bits and pieces, and it's a lot of fun. I think we should be on it. Somebody pitch us to be on Quizzlemania.
This should be a new segment of the show in which you explain something to me that's popular within the wrestling landscape, and I just sort of nod my head. I'm like, okay, thanks for catching me up, Jeremy. That should be a new thing we do here. Thank you for catching me up. I don't know. It looks very popular. People seem to enjoy it, so that's very good. I'm glad to be a co-champion of this game.
Yeah, Sean said he wouldn't have won because they did a Hollywood version, so it was like a lot of like wrestler movies and stuff. And apparently Sean actually listens to this, and he said he would not have won if we didn't have our little movie review podcast here.
Wow. I mean, this is big news that he listens to this show. We need to be careful what we do here, pal. We're reining the Eddie talk. Anyway, back to this film. What happened? So, yes, Eddie. We were talking about the Eddie in this film, not the one of the movie that you want to pitch. Okay, here we go. So away they go. Big Show's going to be an MMA fighter, right?
Yes.
Explain this. It's not actually MMA, but he's going to do it.
Right. They're going to go around and shoot viral videos to get his buzz up before a big fight, big tournament in New Orleans.
He basically does like a tour. Like, you know when Cody got released or got his release and he like made a list of opponents?
Yeah.
It's basically like that. Like he goes around and collects names and such. And so there's a big joke that really is something. So he's asked to change into sort of like, you know, fighting clothes. And of course, the Big Show just has big, goofy white underwear, doesn't he, Jeremy?
Yeah, big whitey tighties.
Yeah, and, you know, that's funny, but it isn't as funny as when he walks past and Eddie makes sure that he hasn't shit himself. That's really funny, isn't it, Jeremy? I laughed. He had the big white pants, and he nearly shit himself, but he didn't actually shit himself. Why did Eddie think he shit himself?
I fully expected him to just shit himself. I did. He got a wedgie. He had a wedgie in this. Do you want to describe how he won his first fight?
So he like shells up.
Yeah, it's the Homer Simpson strategy.
Shades of Gary Goodrich taking on Fedor Emelianenko in the early 2000s. There you go, Jeremy. You upped me on Saturday with that Rampage Chuck Liddell poll, so I thought I'd fire back. And, you know, he's shelling up. And the thing with Big Show is because of his arms, he's got a pretty good defense. He's in sort of a shell.
Yeah, it's a Philly shell defense.
Yeah. And then Hoot that's punching him gets very exhausted. And what does a man do when he's tired in a fight? Well, obviously, he gives a man a wedgie, doesn't he? He's got big white, you know, he pulls, he sort of falls over a little bit. And then something happens where the Big Show is in such agony that he begins to, like, teeter.
What do you mean something happens? He's in such agony. He got hit in the dick.
Oh, no, but before that, though, because he's, like, in a bad way. Because already the other guy is, like, falling down, isn't he?
Yeah.
The energy that it takes to wedgie the Big Show is so great that the other man is falling. And on his way down, he throws, like, a dick shot. So then he's flat on his back, and the Big Show falls on top of him.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, pins count. And then Eddie goes, stay on top of him. And I was like, oh, no, he's going to win on points. And instead, the man just taps immediately because the Big Show is on top of him. So, I don't know, dude. That's what happens, I think.
That's a good way to win an MMA fight. You just smother the guy.
Ray Nelson did that for
the
whole Ultimate Fighter series.
That's how he beat Kimbo, right? He just put his belly on top of him, and Kimbo was like, get me the fuck out of here.
That's a classic TV, like, just stealing viewership moment, isn't it? Like, if Kimbo catches him, if Kimbo catches him, 30 seconds in, gets taken down, and Crucifix was, oh, no, never mind, he's not going to catch him. God bless Kimbo, that was good fun times. Anyway, so then they stop. Do you want to explain this, where they stop and they meet, like, her friend or something? Do that part.
And what's there to explain? They meet her friend, and her friend is clearly smitten with the Big Show.
No, but they do. Remember, she has, like, a car crash. Remember this?
No, not at all.
Do you remember the engine of the school bus starts?
Oh, yeah, sure. What am I supposed to explain? You just did it.
Well, there's like a
the
crash
engine
scene.
blows up. Like, it blows up. I was waiting for another fart joke here because the engine, it stalls out and they're in the middle of nowhere. And then people are like, oh, do you smell that? It's gas. Cut. And then you see the school bus blow up and they're running through the field and stuff. I was waiting for them to just say, like, would have been fine if you didn't just fart and shit and then blow up the whole bus and everything. But they didn't do that. They reined themselves in for that joke.
Yes. And the lady that you mentioned that is smitten with the Big Show, she gives him a, like, fighter makeover.
Yes.
And that's when I mentioned he gets the tattoos and he gets a bald head and he gets
shades his goatee a little bit. I think that was the goatee.
And then Eddie's like, make a mean face, and he runs and hits his head on the fan above him. And then
and he fights a bear, right?
Yeah, and he wins. And it's like, oh, the Big Show is making real strides here as a mixed martial artist as he defeated the bear.
Yeah, he choked out. He choked. The bear went after Eddie, and then Big Show put the bear in a rear naked choke, and people were sad.
Shades of Khabib.
I was gonna make the Khabib joke.
And then, as you would, they celebrate like any great fighter after his victory. And Eddie warns the Big Show about what he's eating, and he says, you know, you're big enough, you know. And the Big Show go to an stomach of steel, you know.
They go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and Eddie says it's all you can eat, not eat it all. And then Big Show is like, don't worry about me, it's all good. So he eats it all, and then we get the Greyhound bus scene. Correct? That's where we're at.
This is just ridiculous. Listen, guys, I try to pick my words politely on this program, but he just violently shits himself. Like, he's brutal, it's graphic, it's violent. He's like doing like facials as he nearly shits himself, and then he like scurries to the toilet, and obviously he can't get in the toilet, so he just opens the door and just like sitting out on the bus while shitting. It's just horrific. It's awful.
He's like hovering.
I'm not even doing.
He's not even on the toilet. It's like his ass is just like in, his ass is just like in the bathroom. And so it's like projectile shitting into the toilet. That's what's going on here.
And he's like, because he's made it, he's like, okay, cool, we're all happy with this situation. It's like, no, get in the toilet. I don't want you out here. But, you know, whatever.
All the people on the bus they're horrified. They're disgusted by this.
Yes. This includes one member of this is relatively funny. As the camera pans away from the Big Show's shit, there's a person who's like on the phone calling a family member to tell them they love them because they assume they're about to die on the bus. And that is relatively funny if there hadn't already been 101 shit, fart, filth joke. But nonetheless, that's what happens. And then they keep going.
Wait, they had to call in like a whole SWAT team to get him out of this bathroom, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to use the jaws. Like they're tug of war, like they're trying to play tug of war with the Big Show to pull him out of this bathroom because he is just stuck. I guess between the door frame. By the way, this is 2010. Big Show not in the best of shape in 2010. They even said that he's like 450 pounds in this film. This is a big version of the Big Show. The Floyd Mayweather fight was 2 years before this, and he let himself go a little bit after that.
Very true. I'll leave that there as I return to Big Show or Big Shit, okay? Paul Heyman is now booking me. I have matches with Brock Lesnar, Big Show. Big Show or Big Shit?
This Big Show is actually fun, right? It was fine.
It's probably his best run as, like, an actual top guy in WWE.
Yeah.
Because when he gets older and he has good matches, it's like he's very much a role player at that point, right?
Yeah.
Good. I would agree. This is the Big Show, right? No big shit here?
No. That was a good run with Heyman and winning that title and everything.
Okay. No more big shit, please. Okay. We're going to get more big shit, folks. Not in the film, but from my game, unfortunately. Anyway, where else are we? Okay, I'm going to read my notes verbatim here. Eddie beats up dude, then gets beat up by another dude until Big Show makes the save, beating up both dudes. Any more on that?
No. Do we want to say
you know the scene I'm ripping?
No, I have no idea. Is that in the hotel? When... Oh, is that... No, that's the... outside of the gas station? Is that the scene? Okay.
They, like, go up to
yeah. The hotel scene was way before. I think we just skipped over it. It's not important. Yeah, the gas station. They're in the gas station and they get jumped. The girl, Jan from The Office, is she's getting messed with, so Eddie tries to fight him, and then he gets jumped, and then Big Show comes out and saves him, and then everybody celebrates, and they're like, "You're a real fighter now." And that's kind of that.
Let's go back to the hotel scene.
Why?
He has to share a bed, right, with Eddie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he sits on his side of the bed.
He doesn't sit. No, he jumped onto that side. Yes. You're frozen.
So big that Eddie is flung.
Yes.
Oh, no.
You're fine
that
now.
Bad.
You're fine now.
Okay, good. He's so big that Eddie is flung in the air and lands on top of the Big Show.
Yes.
Just as Eddie's crush, I guess would be the way to phrase it.
Jan from The Office. Jan from The Office. That's who it is. And
then she's like, oh, and they're on top of each other, and it's like, she thinks they're lovers. That happened too.
That did happen. Completely forgot all about that until you mentioned it.
Okay.
The Big Show is big, everyone. If a man that size jumps on a bed, it's gonna, fling it over. That's the point, right?
Yeah. So as he starts to win fights and, steadily stop shitting himself, he doesn't really do that, actually. He just stops at some point. They bond somewhat.
Yes.
And then they introduce this idea of why Eddie doesn't fight anymore.
Yes.
At no point does the office lady just think to herself, well, he just got beat up at a gas station by complete nobodies. He sucked at fighting. Which is what I would have said. But apparently there has to be some reason why a man stops fighting even though he had no success in the sport whatsoever. So with that in mind, they prod Eddie until they, conclude or like force him into a conclusion that he was hitting the dick. Right?
Yes.
Did I make this up?
No, that's what happened. Is Eddie's like, I don't fight anymore, and they're like, oh, did you get hit in the head too much, suffer too much brain damage, stuff like that? Did you have a bad injury or whatever? He's like, no, lower, no, higher, middle, and then they're like, oh, you just got hit in the dick really hard, and he's like, yeah, basically, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes you stop fighting. That's why who the hell was it? That's why Mirko Cro Cop stopped fighting, right? He just got hit in the dick a bunch of times.
I don't think Mirko Cro Cop was getting beat up at gas stations, though, as he tried to protect his lady friend. So, sure, whatever.
Who was the guy who got hit in the dick and was, like, vomiting? Do you remember this?
No, I remember the Cro Cop one you referenced. I don't remember that. I remember Rich Franklin, like, getting on his knees and doing some sort of, like, hacker dance to recover from it. You remember this? We're not just doing MMA history, mate.
I remember Gonzaga. Who did Gonzaga fight? It was, like, Brock Lesnar's training partner. And, like, just immediately kicked this dude. Like, Chris Tushisher or whatever.
Oh, the guy that Hunt knocked out. The
yeah.
Big block that looked like a fat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. He's the perfect training partner. Yes.
Yeah, Gonzaga, like, fucking kicked him in the dick, and that dude was just dead. And then Gonzaga beat him a couple minutes later. But, yeah, Gonzaga ruined that man.
There is an argument that Cro Cop and Gonzaga are, like, they are tied in having the worst crime in the history of sports, in that their shortcomings allowed Brendan Sharp to, like, short-term claim he was a contender at heavyweight, and we have never done that. Like, to this day, the impacts of that are felt, and it ruins both. I mean, Cro Cop especially, his legacy will forever be tarnished by that thing. But there you go. Back to this shit film, speaking of bad comedy. We go now. I wanted to mention this. Did you notice the music in this film?
No.
It's like WWE video game shit. Like, it's like just lame, like generic sort of rock music while they do this uplifting.
Oh yeah, I know the montage scene. Yeah, the montage scene was something else. I didn't know the song. I didn't know if it was supposed to be a famous song or whatever. It was just like the most generic. It'll probably be Ruby Riot's theme in a couple of weeks.
Oh god, okay. It does. It felt like the stuff that you hear on the menus of the, like, SmackDown vs Raw games. You know, just absolute nothing. It's not rock. That's the only thing you can describe it as. And this is while, like, he bonds with her and Big Show learns to stop shitting himself. It's like, yeah, come on, Big Show's gonna kill him. Anyway, then they go to a bar, and so the Big Show goes for a dance with someone that recognises him from their viral videos.
Yes.
And then Eddie convinces the lady from the office to drink. And then she gets drunk and she sees that Eddie is flirting with a woman who was named, help me, what was the name? She had a funny nickname that Eddie liked.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, good lord. It was just a nickname.
I'll find it. Yeah, Jan from the office had one margarita and was absolutely sauced.
Yes. Anyway, before Jeremy finds his name, she sees this, she goes up, she seemingly, ends up in a conflict with this lady whose name I can't remember. And then the woman is like, let's have a mud match.
It's the waitress, by the way. It's not some random lady. It's the waitress.
No, I know, but she says she has a name.
No, I know that. I'm just letting you know it's the waitress. So I'm letting the audience know that it's not just some random lady at the bar.
Is it audience?
Jiggles is her name, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say Jingles, and I think, I'm gonna leave it there. I didn't know there was an audience for this show. You should have told me, Jeremy. Anyway. So they do, she's like, let's do what any normal person would do. Let's take our clothes off and have a mud match. And the Big Show obviously has seen this many times before. And then she's like, no, I'm going to take my clothes off and do a spin kick, knocking you in the mud without ever even getting in the mud. And then I'm going to fall over and get carried away by the Big Show. Yes, that's what happens next.
Jan from the office is wearing like a red dress and she doesn't want to mess up her dress. So she just like takes it off, is in her bra and panties. And then just does, the spin kick reminded me of? If you played SmackDown vs. Raw and Stacy Keibler does this like exact spin kick, it's like her only strike. That's what this was.
The layers of that, considering the setting of this fight, is pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So then they get to the big tournament. Hang on, I'm going to go back to my game. Big Show or Big Shit, Jeremy? oh no, I have to do a sumo match at WrestleMania. Big Show or Big Shit?
He wore a diaper for this and a thong. He wore a thong diaper for this. This sucked. We gotta go Big Shit.
The ultimate Big Shit.
Yeah.
Right? The absolute worst Big Shit there ever was. So then we get to the big tournament, and they do, an absolutely horrific, painful, borderline offensive montage of all the fights that take place in this tournament.
Yes.
And that may sound overdramatic, and it is. It's hyperbolic, but Jeremy can vouch for me. There is something about the way this was put together that makes it excruciating, as we just see terrible fights take place. It's very bad.
It's not only just like these terrible fights are taking place, it's a bunch of people that we have like no investment in outside of... Do we want to talk about Red Rum? We have not mentioned Red Rum once on this program.
Okay. What do you want to talk about, Red Rum?
I don't know. This is the big, like, hired gun. I don't know if it's the hired gun, but this is the big, like, fighter antagonist here, right? This is the guy that the Big Show has to conquer to get this money. This is the guy, I forgot the Memphis's Earl, his big project. He's the manager. This is his Zeus. This is the Zeus for Memphis Earl.
And what was Dabba-Kato's name in main event? It's like that character, right?
I thought it was Dabba-Kato. I don't remember his name in main event.
No, Dabba-Kato's his Raw name.
Yeah, that's his name on Raw Underground, which is definitely something that's still going on, and they got big plans for.
Okay, we'll leave that for Thursday. I mean, we'll not get to about Thursday, but there you go. His name is Red Rum. Luther, the Japanese deathmatch legend, the original Death Dealer, he informed us on the Twitter that he once considered this to be his name. And I have to say, it's incredible to think of how different the history of this show would be if that was the case. If when his head came out from the apron on that fateful night of Dynamite, if instead we heard Red Rum, we may have never found it funny. Like, it may have been actually good even. I don't know. It was awesome. The moment in itself was incredible, but I don't know. It's something to think about, I feel.
Our show would have been 100% different. If it was Red Rum instead of Luther, like the Luther, the way Excalibur was saying it, just like, that's Luther. That's Luther. And you're like, what? If he's saying that's Red Rum, you're like, all right, that guy like sounds like a killer.
That's murder.
Yeah, right. Like, no offense to Luther, we love him, but like Luther just isn't a name. You'd be like, oh yeah, that guy's just an absolute. He's a Japanese deathmatch legend. You just wouldn't think it.
Whenever my mind obviously goes to The Shining, but whenever this is involved with wrestling, I think back to the Relic.
Yes,
TNA
I knew you were gonna go there because I was just gonna legitimately ask, like, do you know what Red Rum is spelled backwards, Joseph?
And it was like, I think the reason we all enjoy it so much is that Tenay obviously knew it sucked when he would call it back in the day. But every time that Don West pondered the fall, it seemed to just give him chills. He couldn't fathom that a man would do such an evil thing as twist their name backwards. So yes, Red Rum is here. I'm gonna go back to my game. Big Show or Big Shit, Jeremy? ECW is now a thing. I'm an actual top heel. Big Show, Big Shit.
He ruled in ECW. He was great. He was throwing Sabu through tables. What was the Bob Holly match? It was really good. Yeah, I liked ECW Big Show. Yeah.
Quietly good run that's lost because of how much the rest of it sucked.
Yeah.
Right? Quietly good stuff. Okay, back to this. So then the Evil Money Man, he claims that Eddie actually is out of the fight game because he threw a fight once. And in fairness, it does make sense that the office lady is immediately she believes this almost because she has doubted him the whole way. Right? Yes. That's fair enough. There's I wouldn't call it clever, but at least we have the deal where she's like, where is the money? And he's already given it to his dad.
To hold on to it. And he told his dad, this needs to go to the orphanage. If something happens to me, make sure this goes to the orphanage.
So you haven't a relatively logical, reasonable moment of he's kind of stuck there, right? He now looks like a fraud, even though he's not. For a moment, you care. And then it's this is relatively believable. Cut to these guys threatening to kill Henry.
Yeah.
Hey, man, tonally, let's rein it in a little bit. Let's not get carried away here. Unfortunately, they do get carried away, and Henry's being hung over, they're threatening to drown the kid, for goodness sakes. So yeah, that happens too. Anything on this?
No, it was a wild turn that they just had Henry. He's taken. They want Big Show to throw the fight. That's their end game here. They want him to throw the fight, or else they're gonna kill Henry because they need the money and they wanna punish Eddie. And that's pretty much it. Memphis Earl thinks he's got it all figured out. He exposed Eddie as a fraud. He's gonna get his money, and he might kill the kid anyway. Probably should. Whatever. Who cares about this dumb kid?
It would have ruled so much if Eddie was like, I had never met this kid. Like, what possible reason do I have to care? That would have been great. Anyway, so then this changes the big fight. Because now it is explained that the Big Show...
Big Show, by the way, he's got like full-on gear now. He's a real... Yeah. He's got his Misawa tribute shorts going on there and looks like a real fighter.
It's interesting you say that because I think he would look less like a play fighter if he dressed in clothes that fighters never wear, rather than paying money for actual gear, which makes him like a play fighter. What a mark. He would better to just wear clothes that aren't supposed to be worn for such things. Would you agree with that, Jeremy?
Right. He looked like a real fighter in his tighty whities. Or what did he wear in the backyard fight where he ran over that dude's dad? A scene we just completely skipped over. But he was just wearing like jeans in that. Like yeah, that's all you gotta wear. Just show up to the fight in jeans. That makes you look like a real fighter, not frilly, colorful shorts.
Well, it's fair to say that this character is a street guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
This version of the Big Show is definitely a street guy. I'll be honest with you. I actually broke my television when he came out with bright colours on because I couldn't believe a street guy like Walter, portrayed by the Big Show, would ever like a bright colour. Like, I actually got really mad about it, Jim. I gotta be honest. I mean, I was like, no respect for this business. None at all. Know your character. Buying bright colours. Paying homage to legends that I don't know and I pretend is another legend that just passed away because I want to pretend I'm knowledgeable about the sport I cover and get paid for. No. It's all finished. He's out there. They know what we're talking about. He's ruined. Anyway. R.I.P. and all that good stuff. God bless.
Why R.I.P.?
I don't know.
This is his tribute to... It was an Alistair Overeem tribute, I think. That's what the shorts kind of looked like. R.I.P. Alistair Overeem.
I'm sorry, I crossed lines for a moment there.
Joseph just went, what's a finger gun? Went full on shoot right there. My God.
Well, the blue ticks flashed before my eyes. I couldn't deal with it anymore. Goddamn play fighters with their actual purchase gear. Why don't they just dress like a street guy? That's what a real wrestler would do.
You talk about stabbing people in the face and then you come out in colorful shorts. What are we doing here? Lost the plot on your character.
You're doing like a quick match. You should have brought a rifle with him and shot the man. Threatened him at gunpoint. When he even goes to the ring, you should have just stood at the top of the ramp with a sniper and killed him then. Who knows?
I mean, that's a good way to win an I Quit match. Just threaten to legitimately murder him. If you're really hood, that's what he should have done. I think Eddie Kingston is a fake gangster.
Wait, we're not talking about Eddie Kingston.
Oh, Walter. Sorry, Walter is a fake gangster.
Okay. So anyway, so it's explained that the Big Show has to keep the fight going in order to save Henry. Because while the fight's happening, they won't kill Henry, is the idea, right? So until we find Henry, I think is the idea, what he's kind of... So, like, he's, like, stuffs a takedown, and then Red Rum hits him with a European uppercut, which is glorious in many ways. And then they do, like, the Rocky movie, like, corner deal, where it's, like, the way they shoot this is, like, it's an epic fight scene, and he's like, just keep it going. The fat kid could die, man, come on. And then, like, he sees Henry... and just wins with a go-go platter, which is a tribute to The Undertaker.
Which is absolutely tremendous that the Big Show is out here using a go-go platter to win this fight.
It doesn't fit his character at all.
No.
It just doesn't.
He blocks a punch and then, he pulls guard on him and then locks in the go-go plata. You're right. Undertaker taught him that one. He taught him how to work that one. Undertaker was like, here's how you work big. Here's how you do technical submissions. Hell's Gate is what he called it.
Imagine paying homage to a legend when you're a street guy. You know what I mean? came directly from an orphanage. He's a street guy, man. What's he doing? Bright colours. Anyway.
He's a knucklehead, Joe. Cut him some slack.
Yes.
He's a knucklehead.
Big Show or Big Shit? Ready?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm now a tag team wrestler. First it's Jericho, next it's Miz. I also make a bad film, Big Show. Big Show or Big Shit?
Jerry's show wasn't bad. Miz show wasn't bad. We'll lean slightly towards Big Show.
Big Show is winning now, right?
Yeah, I think so. 3-2.
The only I think it's 4-2.
Okay.
Big Shits were only the Sumo, which was a little bit unfair, and the Undertaker bullies me now. So there you go. We have 2 left, but we'll go back to the film.
What's left in the film? He tapped him out, and then
he gets arrested, doesn't he?
Yeah, the cops come and arrest Memphis Eddie because he's a fraud.
Okay. So then Henry gets in the ring and they all celebrate. And Eddie's dad is like, I don't have the money anymore, I bet it. And every single person in the world that's watched this film is like, oh, he bet it on the Big Show, obviously. But Eddie is like, oh, my God, Dad, how dumb are you for backing against the Big Show? And he's like, no, love an underdog, 20 to 1. What sort of fighter was Red Rum?
What? Who booked these odds? What? How did he get these odds on the Big Show to where I haven't seen Red Rum fight. Is he that much of a killer? Is he Che Mills, solid killer?
I can't stress how rare 20 to 1 is in an actual fight.
Yeah.
It's so, like, it would only make sense if they had seen the fight where he falls on the guy only. He'd never fought again since. But anyways, he
fought a bear. Did they not see him choking out the bear? Like, everyone saw that footage with Habib and like, this guy's just never going to lose. Apparently, these odds makers never saw him fight a bear and they were like, 20 to 1, he sucks.
So he won $8,000, right? And he's like, all of this goes to the orphanage, yay! And then the fat kid gets mad and he's like, I am still at the orphanage, Big Show, why are you leaving me? And he's like, I'm not, because the Big Show, the big shit, is adopting his kid today. And then the kid throws his console on the floor because he's a sport brat and he hugs the Big Show. And it comes up the end as though I've just watched like a 1970s sort of murder mystery flick. Am I wrong? The closing credit is so bizarre. It's a black screen with the end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a strange ending. I don't know what I expected, but it was very abrupt in how it happened. And yeah, it had the cool cursive the end. It's like, all right, it's over now. They should have killed this kid. That's my takeaway. When we make the second one, when we make Knucklehead 2, Henry's a dead man.
Wow. Incredible scene.
We're killing kids in sequels. What was the Dolph Ziggler movie? We're killing that kid too.
Oh yeah, I didn't co-sign that one. That was mean. He didn't even have a line of dialogue to be annoying. That poor kid was just had a bomb attached to him. He was like, kill him, get him.
Well, Henry had dialogue, and it all sucked. And like he's so enamored with his video games that he let the kitchen burn down. And then he was so happy that the Big Show, he just threw the video game. Yeah, like you said, being spoiled, just figured, I got a new family now. We got all this money. I'll easily get another. No, kid, it didn't work like that. We're going to drown you in Knucklehead 2.
So is the idea that the Big Show is now going to become like an actual fighter?
He's a lover now. He's gonna go off with Jan's friend, and now they got a kid and stuff. So no, he's not gonna fight anymore. I don't think. They got all their money. They made their money. He's a knucklehead,
how much
Joseph.
Did they make?
It all went to the orphanage anyway.
Yeah,
how much they made.
Exactly. I feel like it's the elephant in the room here is that he has no way of making money in the real world, so he's gonna have to fight a lot. But I don't know. What do I know?
He goes on to be a pro wrestler, and then he has to retire, and then he does the Big Show.
Speaking of being a pro wrestler. Big Show or Big Shit? I'm in the authority. Kane looks funny. Big Show. Big Show or Big Shit?
I have no idea what this Big Show is, so I'll just say Big Shit.
The one that.
Is this where he has to like cry and Stephanie is like, you're nothing with? Oh yeah, that all sucks.
And also, it's the one where you remember the famous Rumble where Roman wins, and it comes down to like him versus Kane and Show.
Yeah,
like this is going to be an epic babyface victory.
I thought it was Rusev. Rusev was in that bit, right? At the end of the Rumble.
I don't know. Like whoever they were like near the end, and it was like all the heels. That guy, the guy that fought Roman all the time.
Oh yeah, that all sucked.
Yes. Big shit. Okay.
I remember Stephanie berating him and just making him cry.
I'll finish this little project. Project's a strong word for it. I'll finish it now. Big friendly giant. Braun always kills me. Big Show. Big Show or big shit?
It was fine. Those matches with Braun were good. So yeah, it was good.
It was odd though because he would like go away for 6 months, come back and just wrestle Braun. They just announced next week Big Show and Braun in a cage, and he would die again. He would just get laid out. Literally Braun retired Big Show like 6 times, and it was never a retirement. He would just come back eventually and fight him in a different match. It was tremendous.
I mean, that's how they do retirement angles. The Undertaker's retired 300 times, but tune into Survivor Series to watch him walk away again.
This is true. At the end of the day, Big Show won, but he was a play fighter. He paid homage to legends, which means he clearly is not a street guy. So, there you go.
What are we giving this film?
What else have I given a 2, Jeremy?
Well, let me pull up my reviews here.
Yeah. It can't be. I don't think it could be much higher than 2.
We've reviewed so much stuff. You've given the main event a 2.
Oh, it's worse than that.
And the John Cena album a 2.
I'm giving this a 1.
Okay.
I loved the Big Show too. Like, it may come across like I don't, but I genuinely very much
you
like
picked
that.
this film because you're like, we got to go back to our roots. We got to bring back the Big Show, the man who started this all. I can see why he turned down our open invitation to be on this program.
Imagine him being here when I did Big Show or Big Shit.
I think he has any cool behind the scenes stories from this. Do you think he wanted Henry to die too? It's like, the little kid was annoying on set. Wish they would have just killed him.
I can't help but feel that he's ashamed of his part in this. It's so bad. Like, I guess, look, we're being honest.
I want to ask him what his motivation is for that Greyhound bus scene. Like, what was going through your mind during that scene of, like...
For that. I mean, there's a world in which, if I'm in my most positive, optimistic mood, I may say it's a fine family film, but the humour is just so... It's the lowest bar possible. I can't even admire it in that sense. Like, you remember when we did the Paige Miz film that had the funny, like, obstacle course ending? The Christmas one? Like, we agreed that it could be a fine family flick, right?
Yes.
This is like it just sucks. It's not even good, like low, childish humor. It's just terrible. So yeah, a 1.
My ratings are all over the place. I gave the Marine 6 a 0.5 star. I don't know if this is better or worse than the Marine 6.
It's worse.
River of Darkness was a dud.
Still get chills from River of Darkness. Still.
We have a program named after River of Darkness. We'll go a quarter star. It was it worse than the Marine 6?
Yes. Man. Becky Lynch is the villain.
Yeah, at least Becky Lynch was redeemable, and the Miz's death scene was pretty redeemable. Yeah. All right, quarter star, because I don't think it was worse than River of Darkness. River of Darkness was just dull. This, at least, there were moments. Quarter star for Knucklehead.
As an actual... I know that you've rated lower than that because you did like the They Live bit and stuff. But as a film, River of Darkness is the worst we've done, right? Like, as an actual film. It was a monstrosity, that film.
Yeah.
There was nothing redeemable about it, and as I've reiterated a million times, I watched it with an out-of-sync audio, and, like, it definitely took years off my life. Like, I'll never forget watching that film.
Well, Joseph, let me tell you what we're watching next week. Let me read this cast list to you. Hold on. Let me pull it up. But our River of Darkness friend is one of the stars in this film.
Please be Kevin Nash and not Kurt Angle.
It's not Kevin Nash.
Oh.
It is not Psycho Sid either. This movie has a 3.5 on IMDb. It was requested by multiple people as well. So the people want this film, Joseph. All right?
Okay.
It's taking forever to load this cast list. All right, whatever. Hey, all right. Kurt Angle is in this film. Okay?
Okay.
Jim Duggan is in this film. Roddy Piper of They Live fame is in this film.
Okay.
Shane Douglas is in this film. AEW superstar Matthew Hardy is in this film. Rebby Sky is in this film.
Okay.
Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies is the name of this film. Have you heard of this?
I have never seen, heard, or thought a word of this. This sounds insane. What year?
2014.
Oh no. This is older, Kurt, than the one we saw in River of Darkness.
Yes. It's an hour and a half, so it's right there. It's an hour and a half. I'm not going over our limit at all. I have no idea what to expect from this, but multiple people have been like, "Why didn't you review this film, especially for Halloween?" And I was like, "I didn't know this film existed." First off, but if we've got multiple requests, we've got to give the people what they want.
Serious question: is this film like traceable on the internet? Like,
I have
is it at a point
no
where
idea. I have no
I've
idea.
never heard a thing about this film.
You're gonna be messaging me on Monday morning and just being like, or
Tuesday.
Tuesday morning, and being like, "How can I watch this film?" It's like, "Well, Joseph,
Yes.
I had to pay $20 for it, so pay $20 for it."
We're gonna have to delay it because we wait for our DVD to ship. They'll be there in a month, pal. Wait, rest easy. They'll be coming.
That's what we're reviewing next week, everybody. Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Anything else from this movie, this day?
No, I just, I feel I've lost my way a little bit during this podcast. I want to apologise to anyone who got scared by my shift in tone. Sometimes my passion for this business just disappoints me. When I see guys shun the casual fan and break kayfabe by wearing bright colours, frankly, my love for this sport diminishes dramatically. When a character stresses that his only goal in life is to become a professional wrestling world champion, and they are enough of a mark to wear professional wrestling colours, I just can't handle it. I'm sorry. So I apologise to anyone who was scared or uncomfortable with my shift and my aggression. But other than that, I've got to be honest, I'm actually terrified about next week's review because it sounds so like River of Darkness was just. You don't know, guys. You don't appreciate what that was like. It was something else. And if this is anything like that, which I sense it will be, oh man, we're going for a cold week. I tell you, it's going to be tough.
I sense it will provide more unintentional, awful comedy than River of Darkness.
I mean, the religious stuff was pretty epic on River of Darkness, where he would just go around questioning people about the Bible and stuff. So, he never broke character though.
No.
He was a detective who wouldn't wear bright colours. He knew the gimmick. Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's what we're doing, I guess. Eddie's going to be delayed for. I'd rather do Eddie 3 times than do this, but that's what we're doing, folks. Get ready.
All right, everyone. We'll be back next Tuesday reviewing that. We'll be back on Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, talking professional wrestling. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but we'll figure something out. Do you have something?
Yes.
Okay.
I've already burned the one bit we could have done with the
Yeah.
the running joke I've been doing throughout this show.
You've burned that. If you want our thoughts on AEW Full Gear, youtube.com/Fightful. Joseph and I were joined by Gary Cassidy, and we reviewed the entire show. So we don't have too much to add on that. Hopefully NXT and Dynamite give us a little something. Raw ain't giving us nothing. That's just
Hang on a second. NXT, did you just say?
Yeah, Pat McAfee and the women. That's it.
Okay. Just be careful, okay? Because I'm easing into it, but you're starting to make it a distraction. Very scary.
Well, Pat McAfee and the women. That's all we're talking about when it comes to NXT. Hopefully they can give us something. That's Thursday, 3 o'clock. We're live on Thursdays now. Everybody tune in for that. Apparently it's doing very well. That's what I'm told. That's what the producers are telling me. They're saying we're big stars now. So, tune in. Joseph and I booked Booty Pro Wrestling this past weekend. Go check that out. That did numbers as well. We're just doing big things. Doing big things. That did numbers.
We are truly on fire, my friend.
How could that not do numbers? We got Daniel Bryan, 2020 Daniel Bryan headlining our pay-per-view against 2000 Lex Luger. Who's not tuning in to see that match?
I mean, we booked a lot crazier shit than that, but yeah,
we did. But that was our main event, so yeah, go watch that where we play TEW. Your picture right now frozen. Oh, it just went reconnecting. Oh my god, very scary times here. There, you're back. You had a very nice frozen picture there. You're frozen again. I'm gonna end this thing just because you're having a lot of audio issues, pal. Follow Joe on Twitter at Joe Hulbert 5. Joe, nod or shake your head if you have a feature this week. No feature this week for Joseph, but go to his Twitter. He's writing on his own website and everything. Follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Lambert 88. Again, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll talk to y'all then.